it is not for me to say good evening or good morning or good afternoon. The good is not part of it, because since last Shabbat we woke up into a nightmare, and we are living the nightmare. So it's hard for us to say good evening. And then I thought about saying shalom. Shalom means peace. And again, there is no peace in our mind, in our soul, nothing. Everything was shaken since Shabbat. This evening, what we are, our aim this evening is to actually to tell you the story as we are exposed to, because most of you are exposed to foreign media that actually bring its own interpretation to you. And for us, it's important that you will know the accurate story of what is going on in Israel. And people are asking me, what can we do for you? And my answer is one, tell the story. The world needs to need the story, because as far we go from Shabbat, and probably the ground operation will start, we are losing credit in the world, and the story needs to be told. And our aim is to actually to give you tools in any debate or any discussion that you will have. And Dror Yemini, that in a minute will present, is not only theory. You will hear more from him. Is one of the experts in telling the accurate story. And at the end, to let you know what is right and what is false today. So I hope that at the end of this evening, you'll get more information, and you will be part of this mission of putting pressure on governments to rescue those that were kidnapped, and to tell the story that needs to be said. It was a massacre, and there are refugees in the state of Israel. And this is only the beginning of the story, and the rest you will hear from Dror Yemini.
Thank you, Gusti. Gusti is representing the Department of Irgún and Contact with Israelis at the World Zionist Organization. This is a very sad moment, but we have to be together, and that's why everywhere we are meeting again as if it was the pandemics. But it's a very good way to be informed and to be together and to try and speak with one another in these very trying times. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat, and we will send it to any of the people here present today. Now, Silvio Hoskovich from the Department of Zionist Enterprises will speak in Hebrew, and I will put the translation in English in the chat, and you also have it in Spanish as it's stated here. So, Silvio.
שלום לכולם, אנחנו נמצאים באחת התקופות הקשות ביותר אשר ידעה מדינת ישראל. כולנו מאוחדים לאחר מתקפה הרצחנית והמפלצתית באכזריות בלתי נתפסת של מחבלי החמאס ב-7 לאוקטובר, וכואבים עם משפחות הנפגעים. כולנו מייחלים לחזרתם של השבויים והנעדרים. כולנו משפחה אחת, העם היהודי כולו, בכל רחבי תבל מאוחד ברגעים אלו. לאויבינו אסור להתבלבל. לדעותינו הפוליטיות בחילוקי הדעות בינינו אין השפעה כאשר מאיימים על ביתנו. כולנו יחד, יהדות התפוצות והחברה הישראלית, נמשיך להילחם למען עתיד העם שלנו. היום יותר מתמיד אנחנו עם אחד.
Thank you, Silvio. We are also live streaming in the YouTube of Zionist Enterprises Department. If you have friends or anything that wants to see it, and then it will be recorded over there to see it after this presentation. So now we are going to present our speaker, Dror Yemini. He's a jurist, a researcher, a speaker, and a senior journalist with the Hebrew daily Yediot Ahronot. And his very famous book, Industry of Lies, is now part of what he will be speaking with us tonight. Please, if you have any remarks, any question, I will be happy to speak out loud to Dror. So I call now Dror Yemini to begin his dissertation.
Good evening, everybody. I hope I can use my presentation just in order to help everyone to understand a bit more. Just a minute, we will do what is necessary. Okay. Okay. Do you see something on the screen?
Not yet, but it's gonna.
Okay, just a minute. We will work it out, don't worry. I'm sorry.
אם אתה רוצה לשלוח לי, אני יכולה לשים.
Just a minute, just a minute. It's a bit stuck, I don't know why. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, it's a good.
Dror? Now we don't hear him.
Just a minute, maybe it will work.
You have to go out and then try again.
Yes, that's exactly what is not happening. It should happen, but it doesn't. Okay, no, it's not. I don't know why. It's a bit stuck, and I don't know why. It's a bit stuck. Maybe it will. Maybe the computer.
He got out. Okay, sorry. He will come back. Alguien dice que no puede escuchar, tiene que mirar en su aparato porque se escucha. Disculpen, vamos a esperar que entre. Okay, you can begin, please. Dror? He got out, okay. I can't believe it. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Okay, I repeat what I said because I don't know what did you hear and what not. What I wanted to say is three things. The first thing is, you know, so many people speak about Hamas and ISIS. Is it the same? Is it not the same? We have to understand something. The founder of the Muslim Brothers, and the Hamas is part of the Muslim Brothers, is Hassan al-Banna. And Hassan al-Banna published an article many years ago in 1938, and the headline of the article was "Industry of Lies." The meaning is we, and he explained, we Muslim Brothers are actually the industry of lies. We don't care about a good life. We don't care about pleasures. We don't care about anything. We care only about sacrificing ourselves in order to achieve what we want. And what we want, what do we want? And what we want is actually to rule the whole world. Now, when we are speaking about what happened a bit later, is that his good friend was Haj Amin al-Husseini, and Haj Amin al-Husseini, the leader of the Arabs of Palestine, who spent all the years of the Second World War actually in Berlin. And he, of course, collaborated with the Nazis. He is the hero, actually, of the Hamas of today. Later on, when the Hamas was established, I began to read what actually the Hamas is saying. And what the Hamas is saying is just the same of what ISIS. The only one problem is that so many people are totally ignored. Just an example from a few months ago, Muhammad Azahar, which is one of the ideological leaders and one of the heads of the Islamic University in Gaza, he declared, no, it's not the Palestinian lands that we have to liberate. We have the whole world to liberate. And we have to actually Islamize the whole world. Another one, a preacher in the Al-Aqsa channel, which is the official channel of the Hamas, declared what we need is actually to exterminate Jews and Christians, I'm quoting, Jews and Christians to the last one of them. That's exactly the education that they give to the people, to the kids from kindergarten. We have actually to exterminate Jews, and our main goal is to exterminate Jews. And they repeat it, and they say it again and again. Unfortunately, most people, even Israelis, do not even know what is the ideology of the Hamas. And you can hear even many Israelis that will tell you, okay, they are poor people, they don't really, all they want is actually not to live in a blockade, not to live in a siege, which is the second big lie that is prevailed in so many places, because right now, in the last week, and of course there are many long time before, but last week, I could read many articles saying, look, Gaza, the Gaza Strip is the biggest open air prison in the world. And it's something that so many people repeat. Look, they only want freedom. They only want to free themselves from the Israeli blockade. And that's why they did what they did last week. And that's why they are launching rockets to civilians' populations, because they want freedom. It sounds very reasonable. I mean, well, that's what the Hamas people actually want. No, it's not the story. The story is that Hamas, if we go to 2006, when they actually won the election in the Palestinian territories, they were offered by the Quartet. Quartet is the UN, the EU, Russia, and the US. In that time, they were offered, we are going to give you a lot of money. We are going to invest because we want Palestine to prosper. But one thing, no more terror, no more terror, because that's something we cannot accept. The head of the Hamas answered the day after, speaking about Ismail Haniyeh, the day after he answered, our main goal is to exterminate Israel. We will never give up terror. Again, it happened in 2008, after the Hamas already occupied the Gaza Strip. The EU offered them, no more blockade, you will get whatever you want. And they rejected the offer. Again, it happened in 2014. And again, you could hear the same kind of music. From one hand, the international community is offering the Palestinians, the Hamas leadership, look, we will remove the blockade, Israel will remove the blockade, you will get a lot of money, you will have prosperity, but you have to disarm from what all of your weapons and the terror that you continue with against Israel. And the answer was no, you will not buy us with money. It happened again in 2018. It happened again in 2021, which means that the Hamas was repeatedly offered no more blockade. Nobody wants you to be in prison, but they decided, not Israel, they decided they prefer blockade, just not to give up their main ideology, which is just the same ideology as of ISIS. They wanted to continue the war against Israel. Now, what Israel did is only in order to prevent smuggling of more rockets and more weapons from mainly Iran, which is of course funding the terror organizations in the Gaza Strip. So again and again, it was not understood. Again and again, you could hear so many scholars speaking about the biggest open air prison in the world. It's a blood libel. It's not the correct thing. And now we get to the stage of this conflict. After so many years that Israel actually restrained itself. I think Israel, by the way, to my opinion, and it has nothing to do with political views. To my opinion, Israel made a huge mistake, because it should have been very clear that even in this, from time to time, that there is a kind of a hudna, ceasefire, they don't mean ceasefire. The only way, and they say it, by the way, and they say it and they declare it. I'm sorry I cannot show you the presentation. I promised to send the presentation with all the quotes and the links to whatever they said. And they said, no, the whole story of ceasefire is only in order to equip ourselves with much more munition. That's all, and they declare it. They did not even hide it. You know, there is a theory saying, look, it's because terror is because of poverty. And research after research prove, I'm speaking about field research, that there is not any connection between terror and poverty. Just to remind you that the 19 people who carried out the 9/11 terror attack, which is the biggest terror attack ever, they were all young, educated and rich people. Most of them, by the way, from Saudi Arabia. So it has nothing to do with poverty, nothing to do. And anyway, poverty is because of the Hamas. Between prosperity and poverty, it's the Hamas who prefers poverty and blockade, and not to give the people of the Gaza Strip any kind of hope for better life. And it's going on. When we get to this week, people did not understand what happened. What happened is just only that they realized exactly their ideology, which means extermination. Now, I was there on Friday. And I must tell you that what I saw, it was quite shocking. I was not, I did not fight over there. I'm not in the age to fight. But I met some soldiers and officers who took pictures that were not published about what happened. Some of the pictures, some of the videos, I guess you saw. But to see the pictures that the soldiers took and the officers took of handicapped children, 4 years old, they tied them and they burned them. They tied them and they shoot them. That's what they did, without any mercy. Why? because they are just like ISIS. You know what? In many cases, you could not even see ISIS with a bunch of piling children, but you could see it now, a week ago, exactly. A week ago, it happened. And now they ask us, the Israelis, to restrain. And now they ask us, look, the civilian population is suffering. Let me tell you something. Yes, the civilian population is suffering. And it's not only hundreds of thousands of people from Gaza who had to escape from the north of Gaza to the south of Gaza. No, it's not the story. The story is that hundreds of thousands of Israelis had to escape their homes in the south and in the north. Why? Why? Because of this global jihad. From one hand, from the south, we have Hamas. From the other side, we have Hezbollah. The two of them are supported and funded by Iran. And yes, the people of Gaza are going to suffer, not because of Israel, because of them. Israel never wanted this kind of a new humanitarian crisis. No, we did not want it. Most of the Israelis did not want it. Most of us, I cannot speak about all of us, most of us want even the people of Gaza Strip to live in peace, to have their life, their education. But the Hamas leaders, they do not let them, they do not want it. Now, what Israel should do? What a decent democratic country should do when they have in the border an entity which is an entity of terror? We know the answer, actually, because even it was a kind of a neighboring entity. We saw what happened to ISIS in Mosul and Raqqa. It was the US who actually bombed Mosul and bombed Raqqa, which was the capital of ISIS. Let me tell you, 65% of the buildings of Mosul were destroyed. 70% of the buildings of Raqqa were destroyed. And now people are telling us, you have to be very proportionate to be in a way that it will be proportionate. What are you talking about? What do you want us to do exactly? How can we uproot this terror, ISIS kind of organization from our border? It's not going to be nice, but we have to do it. We must do it. Otherwise, next year it will be the same, and in 2 years it will be the same. And the Israelis will have to suffer again from the rockets. No, we don't want anybody. We don't want anybody to suffer. It's not our main goal, not at all. Israel enabled, just until a few days ago, 17,000 workers from Gaza to enter Israel daily. Why? Because we want them. We, the Israelis, the Israeli government, right-wing government, center government, left-wing government, all the governments believe that if we will give them hope, if we will give them to make living, everything is going to be better. No, this is exactly the kind of self-delusion, self-deception that we enter to. Because this is not the goal of the Hamas. The Hamas has something else. Because they do not look for prosperity. Now they knew in advance that if they will attack Israel, and if they will kill Israelis, and if they will do what they did, they are going to pay a high price, but they don't care. Because we have to bear in mind one more thing. Israel is not the only state which is fighting actually this kind of terror. Wherever we have global jihad, we have death and destruction. Look at Lebanon, look at Syria, look at Yemen, look at what is happening in some Sahel countries in the middle of Africa. It's all the same. By the way, the global jihad, and they have many chapters from Taliban to ISIS, from Hezbollah to Boko Haram, all of them, the whole story is death and destruction. They are not fighting against any occupation. They are fighting because they are part of the industry of death. And when we do not understand it, we cannot understand the conflict. No, there is not a conflict between Israel and the Hamas. It's a big mistake. Israel, yes, Israel is in the front line, but it's a war between the global jihad and the free world. And we have to bear it in mind. It's not Israel. The story is not Israel. It's just like an American philosopher, Sam Harris, wrote few years ago. The whole free world is Israel, but some of us do not understand it yet. And he was very accurate because this is the story. Now, when we see the demonstration in place like London of people who support the Hamas, of people who support the extermination, the mass killing, we understand that we have a problem. The problem is in London. The problem is in Berlin. The problem is in Paris. They do not understand it. Now, more and more people begin to understand that the real war is between the free world and the global jihad. And Israel is just the country that right now is in the front. Because what? Because nobody is fighting them, for example, in the Sahel countries. And Israel is the only Western country or the only country from the free world that is bordering with the global jihad. So we have to do it. So we have to fight. We cannot give up. But we are fighting for the whole free world, because if the global jihad will win, the next will be Germany, Britain, France, and they have them already in the countries. Now, let me tell you something. I just want, and it will be my last sentence. When I'm speaking about the global jihad, I'm not speaking about Muslims. Don't misunderstand me. Don't misunderstand me. In many countries, most of the Arab countries, the Muslim brothers are outlawed. Most of the Muslims are against this kind of global jihad, because who are the victims of the global jihad? Who the global jihad is killing, and we don't hear about it because who cares about what's happening in Africa and Asia? Nobody cares about them. The 98% of the victims of the global jihad, generally speaking, are Muslims, and they are the victims. It's also something which is not understood, because when I hear the justifications from scholars in the West, when I have this kind of debate with them, I'm asking them, what are you talking about? But the global jihad, that they give justifications to the global jihad because of the West, because of capitalism, because of colonialism, because of imperialism. What are you talking about? The victims are Muslims. We have to remember that even in the last week, at least I read many articles from, for example, the very known author, Jalal ben, I don't remember right now the name. Anyway, they published articles, some very prominent intellectuals and scholars, Muslim scholars, against the Hamas. They are the enemy of us. They are the enemy of Muslims. So it's not a war between the free world and the Muslims. Of course, it's not a war between Israel and Muslims. This is a war between people who want freedom, who want democracy, who want human rights and women's rights, and the people who are against it. And I'm telling the world, you cannot leave us alone. You cannot criticize us because of proportionality. We have to fight. We have no choice because this is a fight of the free world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dror. I have some questions from the public here. First of all, if the world doesn't know all about what you're talking about, what are they are giving them money to Iran and their allies, and why they don't speak with the experts to know how to fight this war?
They don't speak with the expert because it's a political issue. Right now, most of the leaders of Europe, for example, totally support Israel. They do support Israel. We cannot ignore it. We could all hear the declaration of the Prime Minister of Britain. He even said in Hebrew, Am Yisrael Chai. And we could hear President of France, Macron, completely supporting Israel. The same in Germany, the same, of course, the United States. The new poll that was just published, 87% from the Americans support Israel in this battle. Now, so we do not need the scholars right now. The scholars are part of the problem, not of the solution, because too many of them are progressive, woke, and whatever. They supply justifications, unfortunately. Again, not all of them, but too many, I would say. Too many scholars are part of the problem and not part of the solution.
Another question. We will win this war in weeks or months, no doubt. My question is what to do with Gaza after the war?
You know what? The definition of a journalist is someone who knows almost nothing about almost everything. So I don't want to be one of them. I don't know, because I'm, as a researcher, yes, I'm also a journalist, but as a researcher, I can tell you, I'm not a politician. I don't know. There are some options. I cannot give you, I'm not sitting, not in the Israeli government, not in the Israeli cabinet, so I do not know what they are planning. I do hope that because there are some serious people in the cabinet, they think about next stage and what exactly is going to be after. By the way, I'm not sure about what is going to happen next week or the week. I'm not sure yet. We do not really know. We have to wait and see.
Is Asbara any good? Should we do it? What to do? What to say? What works?
Okay.
What works?
Okay. First of all, I'm not dealing with Asbara. What I'm dealing with is with research. Whatever I told you is based on research, and as I promised, I will send you the link, and you can share it with the people with all the footnotes and whatever is necessary. And maybe it will be even easier to send you the article that was published just 2 days ago and already in some languages, not yet in Spanish, unfortunately, but the article in Hebrew and in English, not in French, not in Italian, includes the links to whatever I said about what the leaders of the Hamas declare. So I will send it to you. It will be even much easier. You can send it to everybody. So what I do, I supply the facts. People who do care about the truth are invited to use it, each one in his own territory, in his own country, and in the social media, which is highly important. Just put the videos. I will give you the links of the leaders of the Hamas saying, we are going to kill not only the Jews, but also all the Christians. We are going to conquer the world. Use it. That's what you should do. I want as more people as possible to know the realities. That's all. So if you ask me what people want who do not have any job, what they can do, yes, they can use the social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Use it, put it. And as more people we'll put it there, as more impact we will have.
Who are our real allies?
Right now, our allies are many people from the Arab world, many people. So I know that there were demonstrations in Jordan and in some other places, but most of the people, even in the Arab world, are our allies. Our allies are each decent human being in the free world who is against massacres, who is against mass killing, who is against ISIS and Hamas, which is the same. Every decent human being is our ally, supposed to be. Not all of them are, but we have to work a lot. We have to work a lot. We have to show them the facts in order to put them in our side.
¿Alguna pregunta más? What happens with the Israeli Arabs? Are they getting in
this time it's much better comparing to what happened in May 21. So I hope it will stay like that. They do understand. And at least the most famous blogger of the Israeli Arabs published a short post saying, until now I was a Palestinian Israeli. From now on, I'm Israeli Palestinian, which means, sorry, but I do not accept what the Hamas people did on my behalf. No, I do not accept it. So it's just one example. He's not representing everyone, but the very fact that we do not hear, not the leaders, and we don't see demonstrations like what we saw 2 years ago, I hope it means that there is a change. At least they understand that in front of this kind of bloodthirsty people, and in front of those barbaric acts, they cannot really put themselves together with.
What about the response of the public, of the civil public in Israel?
Well, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable because we had a kind of polarization until 9 days ago, and in one day, everything is changed, and we see unity. We say, yes, of course, in the social media you will find those people, agent of chaos, that still disseminate hatred and so, but there are very few. Most of the Israelis right now are united. It's not that we agree about everything. No, we do not. We do not. But now, in the face of this kind of barbarism, I don't like to use it, but in this case, we must use the word Islammo-Nazism. We are united. And Islammo-Nazism is the enemy of Muslims, of Jews, of Christians. And we have to bear it in mind. So, of course, that we are united in the face of this evil axis of evil.
What about Abu Mazen?
He's not saying anything. He's not saying anything, and I guess he knows why. Because even the EU decided upon to cut the funding, even to them, as a punishment, because he did not immediately condemn those barbaric acts. So he's in between. He tried something, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago to condemn, but it was not clear if it's a lip service or that he really meant it. But he's not the real leader. We have to understand it. I mean, he is not popular among the Palestinians. He's 87 or 88 years old. So the big question is what will happen with the Palestinian Authority, and we have to wait and see.
And Hezbollah,
Hezbollah is part of the axis of evil. That's for sure, which is, of course,
Will complicate.
yeah, of course, it will complicate. It will complicate everything, needless to say. But we saw already the response of the United States. And we saw the two carriers, one that is already around here in the water of the Middle East, and another one which is getting closer. And actually they are singling to the Hezbollah, look, don't you dare. And that's exactly what President Joe Biden said in his great speech a few days ago.
It's true that the Dome of the Rock Mosque has no relevance in the Muslim world.
So what?
It's not relevant, the mosque. It's only used politically, they are asking here.
No. I think there is a meaning. There was not any meaning until Zionism began, so it was totally neglected. But right now, yes, it has a meaning, and yes, and Israel should be very cautious in order not to do something which will provoke more Muslims, because this is the main goal of the Hamas. This is the main goal of the extremists. We don't have to give them the opportunity to recruit more people because Israel is doing something to the mosque, Sharm al-Harif.
What about China's position and Russia's?
It's a good question because China is in a way penetrating the Middle East, even Saudi Arabia, and they are in a coalition with Iran and Russia, and this coalition is totally against the defense agreement that Saudi Arabia and the United States are working on. They are totally against it because it will change the whole map, the global map, the Middle East map. So, to my opinion, the Hamas attack was ordered by Tehran in order actually to fail the defense agreement between the United States and Saudi Arabia. So it just proved what I wanted to say in the first place, that actually the battle is not between Israel and the Hamas. The war is between the free world and the axis of evil.
What about what Trump says? It helps or damages more?
The what?
Trump, the ex-president of the United States. Nothing to say.
I must admit that I never admired him. I guess you know some of my articles and you know that I do not admire him. Some people in Israel still admire him, and for them it's a kind of a dissonance cognitive, you know. So I'm not surprised. Some people thought that he is in their pocket, but he's not. And what was proved is that Joe Biden is a real friend. Yeah.
To end, and the last question is, here you have members of many communities. You want to send a message of what they can do to be near, to help. They are all asking us how to help.
It's not my field. It's not my expertise. I cannot give you. I mean, you can find in the internet a lot of you know, this kind of people who are organized and they have, I guess, website and so on. So what I can say in my field is just use the information, and I will send you the information in order to disseminate the facts about the conflict. And this is something which is highly important. You are not going to be in the battlefield. Soldiers are going to be there, but all of you are going to be in the battlefield of the propaganda against Israel. So be there, just be there. That's what I'm asking. And you can do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Dror, and thank you all for being here with us tonight. And be well, take care of yourselves. Thank you so much. I will send you the information. Thank you, Gusti. Thank you, Silvio. And good night to all of you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
לילה טוב.
תודה.